Divine will is an internal creative force. It's not external to us. If you can conceive the image of a star or sun extending beams of light out, you could think of yourself, your soul, as one of those beams of light. Each beam of light is very unique, original, just like there are no two thumbprints alike, no two snowflakes alike, there are no two souls alike. Divine will is not separate from you. What we do have is an ego mind that has been developed out of an erroneous thought. The thought, I am separate. The ego mind doesn't want you to think of yourself as an extension of the divine because it doesn't believe that's true. It believes that you are isolated, you are separate, you are completely all by yourself, and that you have to fight for what you need, you have to defend yourself, and that the best thing that you can do in regards to connection with other people is finding allies. There's no true connection from that ego point of view. Now, thought is very creative. If your thought system arises from a belief that you're separate, then what you experience in your life is going to reinforce that idea. So you have that whole thought system, we all do, that we've fallen into, a thought system of error that doesn't see ourselves as being one with the divine will. And that thought system is always trying to prove itself to us. And so while we want to have happiness, prosperity, love, a house, new clothes, we want all these things, and the way that we think we can get them is aligned with that thought system based on separation, then we're going to have a different effect in the way we work our magic versus when we align with the thought system, which is the truth about us, that we are unique, divine extensions of perfection. The role of magic is divine. Now, not everybody sees it that way, and not everybody practices it that way. But the word magic comes from the Magi, and the Magi were spiritually enlightened figures. Not only were they spiritually enlightened figures within that small culture in Persia during the Zoroastrian period, but the Magi represent a larger universal force throughout all cultures. Every culture has had magical people throughout all time and space who have been very sacred, holy people who practiced what we call magic. And one of the roles of divine magic is to connect with energy and shape it according to our will. What we have to ask ourselves is, which will are we wanting to form our desires? Is it the will that's coming straight from source, which is the will of our soul, or is it the will of this thought system of separation, which is coming from the ego? It's not that one is bad and the other is good. It's just that one is false and the other is true. And when you're hanging your hat on a false thought system based on something that you're not, you are reinforcing that inaccuracy, and everything that comes out of that is going to reinforce that inaccuracy. So it's not that you can't get what you want through the ego. It's just that it's not truly what you want. It's what you think you want. And it's not going to make you happy. It's destined to upset you. It's destined to disappoint you, because the ego thought system is insane, but it's consistent. It's insane, but it's consistent. And some of the consistencies that you will find in the ego thought system are things like, I am alone, everything's hard, I need to fight for what I want, seek but don't find. Whatever I get won't make me happy. And so I have to constantly seek for something that I think will bring me happiness and not find it or become disappointed. That's the perpetual thought system of the ego. So it is important that you understand the difference between divine will and ego will when you're working magic, because what you're trying to do with magic is take your creative thought and make something happen in the three-dimensional reality for yourself. What you're doing with magic is using creative thought to have some sort of experience, whether it's physical or non-physical. There are magical operations that purely alter your consciousness, as well as those magical operations that alter your consciousness and thus alter your physical reality. There are two types of will. that you can align with when you're working magic. But neither one of them is going to just do it for you. In a way, the ego mind will do it for you because it tends to want to create based on status quo. A lot of times when people are creating through the ego, it seems as though nothing changes. It seems like they can't ever get anything to work for them. It seems like they can't make significant change for themselves. And that's not actually what's happening. You are creating again and again and again. It's just that the ego is creating the same thing again and again and again, which gives us the illusion that nothing's happening. Whereas the divine will has the desire for you to be happy. It has the will for you to be happy. And it already knows what will make you happy. But you must co-create with that divine will. You can't just say, oh, give me what you think I want, and expect everything to work out for you, because you're not exercising your imagination. You're not working magic at that point. We want to work magic based on divine will, but we still have to work the magic in order for it to manifest. Magic isn't just a mental exercise where you are surrendering your will over to a higher will and letting it do everything for you. It's that you are co-creating with that higher will because it already exists within you. It's not even close to you. It is you. It's a part of you, just like that extension of light from the sun or that extension of light from a star. There's no separation between that beam of light and the source of that light. Whereas the ego is separation, and it doesn't exist ultimately. It only exists within this phantasmagoria that we have created for ourselves, which is a testament to the power of our creativity. If we can use our imagination to create a pseudo-reality for ourselves based on our ego mind, imagine what you can create when you are aligned with your true will. When you're aligned with your true will, you're aligned with that star beam, and you can't fail. Whereas when you're aligned with that pseudo-will, that separated will, nothing can really work for you. It may seem to work for a time, but it won't make you happy. It's important to understand that as a divine science, magic requires that you work. You have to use that witch's pyramid. You have to use your imagination. You have to have your willpower. You have to have faith in what you're doing. And you do have to keep it sacred. You do have to keep it secret. All of those things. And you can do that in alignment with your true will in order to be successful, or you can do that in alignment with your ego's will, and you can still get some things happening for yourself, but you probably won't be satisfied. Because remember, when you're aligning with the ego's will, you're aligning with the intention of seeking for something you can't find. So even though you may get the form of what you thought you wanted, it's not going to do for you what you were hoping it would do for you. When we work magic in alignment with divine will, it actually reduces the gap between our spell and its manifestation. It actually does speed things up because we're aligning with our true will. We're not aligning with the will based on delay, because that's the whole idea of the ego, is to delay. The ego understands on some level that if we align ourselves with the divine will, that it will cease to exist. And it has its own survival instinct. So its whole game is to distract us from doing the very thing that will make us happy, because it will cease to exist. Once you recognize that you don't need that ego in order to function, you don't need that ego in order to be happy, you don't need that ego in order for your magic to work, then you'll disregard it. And once you disregard the ego, it has no power. It may still be there in background, but it has no power over you. The only power it has is the power that you give it based on your decision. When you're working with divine will, you're actually shortening that time delay that it takes between when you cast a spell and when it manifests, whereas the ego mind tends to want that delay, because then you'll be chasing after a carrot. And if you can be chasing after a carrot, it'll keep you busy for years and years and years, and you'll never consider anything that's going to threaten it. Remember, the only thing that can threaten the ego is you not listening to it, is you not regarding it in any way. And you stop regarding the ego as soon as you start regarding your true will. Personal desires are valid. And when those personal desires are natural extensions of your true will, Not only are they valid, but they're inevitable. The personal desires that we have that are aligned with the ego are probably more along the lines of a type of lust. And it's not that lust is bad and wrong. It's not a moralism. It's just that it's temporary and it doesn't really do much for you except for fill that momentary desire based on the five senses. The ego is always going to get you involved in goals that have to do with satisfying some momentary lust. Whereas your true will is going to have you involved in goals that not only bring you happiness, but bring happiness to everyone around you and allow you to do the things you came here to do and not delay. And if you're doing what you came here to do and you're not delaying anymore, you can't help but be successful. Those personal desires, when they are rooted in your true will, they are powerful. They are inevitable, but they're only there in potential if you're not working the magic on them in whatever way that you work magic. Everybody works magic, whether they call it that or not. It's just that some people have systems of magic so that they can organize and focus their practice in a certain way. But any successful person that is doing their true will here is working a type of magic. You can look at successful people who have made positive differences in the world, and you can see where they were connected to their true will and how well things worked for them. And all those people also probably had areas where they were connected to their ego will, and those areas didn't work for them. If you read biographies of successful people, it's usually a combination of the two. In this world, we are always having to ask ourselves, am I working on behalf of the ego or am I working on behalf of my true will? If you are in alignment with your true will and you are using that magic pyramid on a desire based in your true will, there's nothing that can stand in your way. I don't care who or what they are. Nothing can stand in your way. When your desires are aligned with divine will, you are always inspired by intuition, by an inner knowing, always inspired by purpose. Everything flows effortlessly when you are working magic aligned to your true will. When you're aligning with your ego, you're usually operating on frustration, on a sense of hurry, on a sense of need, on a sense of lack. If you have a problem that you're trying to solve with magic, let's say it's a financial problem, but I need this money. I need this money. When you do a spell like that, when you do a spell connected to that kind of an ego urge of I need this or everything bad will happen, that's not the divine will. Your true will doesn't will that you are in a situation where everything bad will happen if you don't manifest a specific amount of money in a certain time. It's not part of your true will. What you have to do when you align your magic to the divine will is be willing to see the problem differently, to define the problem in a different way so that you can have the flow necessary to get that bill paid. Rather than being upset or under the gun or tense or worried, you have a new idea that everything is working out for you perfectly. Things are peaceful. Things are joyful. And there's a flow of abundance that rushes into that situation to cure it, to make it right again. It's a very different attitude when you're working with the ego versus working with your true will. When you trust that your true will knows what it's doing, then you're not worried about how long is it going to take. Is it going to be on time? That's like asking, will midnight be late tonight? There's no such thing. When it's your true will, everything is perfect and it comes in right at the right time and you don't have to worry about it. And in fact, if you're worried about it, is it here yet? Is it here yet? And you're trying to do things in the physical world to push things along, not inspired to act based on intuition, but based on letting that ego mind be in charge, it will destroy that thought form that you are trying to build. It doesn't want you to have everything flow easily for you. It doesn't want that bill to be paid in an easy way. Why? Because it's against its nature. Remember, the ego is a false sense of identity based on a thought. And that bottom line thought is, I am separate. That bottom line thought of I am separate must, by its very nature, cause you unhappiness, cause you delay, cause you roadblocks, cause you to self-destruct. When you use magic as a channel for your true will, you're allowing the divine energy that you are. Remember, you are of the same substance as that star from which you are extended. That means that you and God are the same substance. So you're allowing that divine energy, which is the truth of who you are, to take shape through your imagination, through your faith, through your will. You're still working magic. You're just working magic in alignment with your true will rather than in opposition to your true will, against your true will. And when you use magic effectively, you're using that imagination to experience whatever that desire you have as already fulfilled. That's the trick of a good visualization. You're not visualizing something happening sometime in the future. You're putting yourself in that position in your imagination where it's already happened. It's already there. And what that does when you do that is you put everything in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you automatically are in alignment with your true will. Only the ego exists in the future and the past. The ego cannot exist in the present moment. And you can do this as a discipline all throughout your day, reminding yourself, coming back to the present moment when you're involved in a task or involved in a conversation or doing anything. Is my mind wandering somewhere out in the future or somewhere out in the past? Or am I fully engaged in whatever this is that I'm doing? If you're fully engaged in the present moment with what you're doing, you're reinforcing your true will in that moment. And the way that you're operating in that moment has a very different impact on your own self and the world than if you were absent-minded, which is how most of us spend the bulk of our time, absent-minded. And that's when the ego's in charge. And that's what the ego loves to do, hypnotize us. And we are so indulgent in the ego, allowing our minds to be taken over by the ego and to wander, not rooted in our true will, which is in the present moment. How you engage your imagination should be in the present moment. It's happening now. Even if you are casting a spell for something that will be happening in the future, let's say that you've got a big presentation coming up and you want to do a spell to make sure that your presentation is successful. You still, in your visualization, in your imagination, in your spell, you are putting yourself in that situation in the present moment. You're not doing it off in the future. And if you were to do a morning meditation, let's say, where you wanted to bless your day, you would have that energy move out through your day, but you wouldn't be living in the future of your day. You would know that future is going to be in the present moment when you get there, but you have set the pathway for yourself so that you can stay aligned with your true will throughout the day. In fact, that's a wonderful thing to do when you wake up in the morning, is just dedicate your day to your true will and see a path before you of light and know that everything that you encounter in the present moment is going to be perfect. When you can trust in the flow instead of forcing things to happen in a certain way, you know you're working with your true will and not your ego. When you allow your desires to manifest effortlessly in alignment with your true will, you know you're working with that part of the mind. The secret of this is that you can't do both at the same time. It's absolutely impossible. Just like you can't travel east and west at the same time, you cannot engage the ego and the true will at the same time. When you're in the present moment and you are allowing things to manifest for you effortlessly, that ego mind is no longer a part of the equation. Conversely, when you're ruminating and upset and worried or mad, all of those things, not that you're bad, it's just the true will is not engaged. It's one or the other. When you shift from ego to true will, you eliminate struggle and you reinforce the unity with all the divine forces. And our ego asks us, who are you to have the entire universe at your disposal? Who are you to have the creation of all the universe be interested in your goal, to be interested in your life when you're just this little speck of dust? Once you recognize that's just a game that's playing, you understand, well, if it's working so hard to distract me from the truth, That truth must be pretty amazing. And it is. Once you recognize that you are one with the flow of the entire universe, it's huge. Who you are as a divine will is a star, not this little body in this little circumstance. That's all ego. The truth is, your true will is a star. It's bigger than the earth, bigger than your problems, bigger than your personality, bigger than your ego, bigger than any of your lifetimes that you've lived. It's huge. Ego will is always misaligned, and that misalignment is what disrupts harmony and slows down our manifestations. Clinging to outcomes, and this clinging to outcomes, it must be like this, it has to be like that. Oh my gosh, if it doesn't hurry up, what am I going to do? That kind of attitude reinforces the idea of separation, reinforces your belief in the ego mind over your true will. And you can see how that's not a very powerful way to be when you're working magic. Your true will is the creative force within you. It's not an external force. Your true will is one with the will of the universe, the will of God. The will of God is one with your true will. Aligning your true will with your intentions speeds everything up. And it also takes away all the problems that sometimes accompany the manifestations of our desires. Sometimes it's a curse when something comes true for you. You know that idea of careful what you ask for, you might just get it. If you're in alignment with your true will, that's never going to be a problem if you get what you ask for, because what you're asking for is yours. But if what you're asking for is an ego-based lust, or based on fear, or based on something misaligned with your true will, it won't bring you happiness. You'll either not get it and be upset, or you'll get it and be upset. Either way, the ego wants you upset. So if you're upset, that is an indication that your ego is in charge and not your true will. And when we learn how to shift over to our true will, which can be very challenging in the moment when we are upset about something, but when we can shift to our true will versus our ego will, the problem gets healed instantaneously. And you know that it's healed instantaneously based on how you feel, regardless of what you see in the external. Because remember, in three-dimensional reality, change takes time. It's just how it works here. But that time is greatly reduced when we are in alignment with the true will versus our ego will. Recognizing ourselves as co-creators with the infinite. That's what your true will is. Recognize that. Recognize what your true will is. It's a co-creation with the infinite. You and the infinite as one. Nothing can stop you. Nothing can stand against you. And that allows you to shape the reality that you desire. And the universe wants that for you. That's one of the reasons why we look to the ego for the things we want, whether we're working magic or not, because we have this belief system that we have to go behind the infinite's back in order to get what we really want, because the infinite wants us unhappy. The infinite wants us broke. The infinite wants us sick. The infinite's will is for all the bad things to happen to us. That's basic ego 101A. Don't trust in your divine will, because it's going to ask you to be a monk. It's going to ask you to take a vow of poverty. It's going to ask you to do all of these things that you don't want to do. And you can't have what you want if you listen to your true will. And that's a lie. It's the opposite. It's the end of waiting. It's the end of dissatisfaction. And it's the beginning of the day when things take off for you, when you align with and stay aligned with your true will. Thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.